Well, it appears I'm a little late on Andor. Well, a lot of things going on, but nevertheless, I won't bore you with two reviews separately. I'll put them all in one, so two for the price of one. With the 9th episode, Nobody's Listening. Nobody's watching. And One Way Out. Oh, I wonder what that's referring to. Well, with Nobody's Listening, the secret goings-ons on Coruscant with Mon Mothma continue, and that's part of the allure of the show, is because the performances are so good, and it's the kind of having to remain calm and appear to be enjoying life at the top of society, while at the same time all terrified that they'll be found out at any moment, and that sort of thing. But slowly but surely, Mon Mothma is looking for means by which to fund the rebellion, and that's all the deals she has to make and all this sort of stuff. Meanwhile, Cassian's old girlfriend gets tortured, so what are you gonna do? But they're trying to figure out who the real guy is who got Cassian into this and all that. And of course, that's Luthen, but they don't know who he is, and she didn't know either. So that's kind of the state of it all. Meanwhile, back in the THX 1138 prison, it seemed all hopeless, but they're starting to notice. Certainly, Andor is the steps of the guards, and he's seeing a flaw in some of the makeup. There's a means by which they might be able to cut off the electrified floors and stuff like that, or it seems to insinuate it anyway. But a strange thing happens. They started to notice that this prisoner that was supposed to be released was sent to another level. Instead, they hear this, and they say, oh, it's just a rumor. It's just, but they ended up destroying a whole level of the prison to kill everybody there, so that the word doesn't get around that this has happened. It was a mistake. They sent them to the wrong station or something along those lines. And so they're like, oh, damn it. So they got to cover that up because they'll have a rebellion on their hands. It's a prison revolt, riot, what have you. And even though they've got a lot of cards with the electrified floors and stuff, but there's only so many of them around. And one of the things was Andor's, saying this might be our only chance, but the Andy Serkis's character, Kino, he's keep your head down, shut up. But once this happens, they meet a doctor because one of the older members of their crew dies of a stroke, and the doctor puts him down, and he knows what's really going on, and he tells him the deal, and he says, this guy's the lucky one. He gets out because he's dead, After all of that, then Kino is so floored by this that it's all true, that it does have a good send-off of the episode where Andor's asking him how many guards per floor and all this, and he won't tell him. And then he finally, at the end of the episode, no more than 12. So he's in. That's it. So they don't know what their plan is, but they choreograph the stories well as they go. Now, the overall series is very slow and everything. Yes, I know. And I still think they could have cut it down. They didn't need to have 12 episodes for this story. But getting there, it's kind of the satisfying end of how they reach their plot points, it does work. It's just I don't think Star Wars fandom is in the mood for any of this because of how badly they've done with other projects. So, what are you going to do? So, what I thought might have happened was some sort of chaotic attack on the prison had they found out that this is the guy they're looking for and that he's been picked up into this prison, rather by accident. They just did a sweep. They needed more slave labor in this prison, so he got swapped up with a bunch of them and sent over there. But that's not how it turns out. So with the title One Way Out in the 10th episode, gee, I wonder out of what? So it's the prison break. And it seems so unlikely, as you know, but there were flaws, and they painstakingly detail it and all that. So they come up with a plan to get out, and it's desperate and it's risky, but right up to the last minute, they do it. So they tear up this a water pipe in there, and it floods the room, and this causes troubles for the electrified floor, and is also damaging the electrical workings, so that the guard there, when he flips it on, and it does kill some of them, but it's so fried it blows out the system, so there's no more charge. And so then that's it. They launch into them. They're already they've got all these tools and stuff because they keep working on these projects, and with the idea being that they needed the slave labor to do it because the droids are just too expensive. So there's no doubt there's a lot of droids working on stuff, but there's only so much they can do, and they've got to build up the armaments because they know the rebellion is probably going to grow. So, you know, you can figure that's the scenario here, why this happens. But anyway, that affords them these weapons for them, tools for them to make, that leads them to do this breakout, which they do, and they manage to take it, and they go, and all the while, the whole purpose of this, in a lot of ways, is the formation of Cassian Andor to become someone who is a believer in the rebellion, at least. I don't know about the Force and all that, but certainly the rebellion. And he understands what he needed Kino to do. Kino was one that they trusted. He's pushing and encouraging Kino to be the leader and to inspire them to join the revolt, the riot, to take over the prison. And it works. He does. He steps up to it. He gets on the big PA and tells them, all the other prisoners, what's up, and that the power's down. So if you make a run for it now, you can get out. The floor won't electrocute you, and so it does. And you know, because I would have thought, oh, come on, a prison break, how's that? But how they laid it out, I gotta hand it to them. It works. The sad part about it is, I have all this stuff about Serkis's character. They finally make it to the door outside, to the outside of the world, you know, and it's quite a drop, but you can make it, but you got to swim your way out. And the problem with Kino, he says, I don't know how to swim. Andor's like, what? And then Andor gets shoved off the side, and he falls into the water, and he's on his own, and you know, he makes his way to land. But poor Kino either learned how to dog paddle, or just died, drowned, or got caught, and you know, or shot. Who knows? You know, suppose they could say, oh, he'll show up later, but it's like, well, how do you do that? You know, maybe, I don't know. But anyway, that's it for the prison as far as that goes. They got out, or you know, most importantly, Andor got out. So that was the basis of that episode. There's a little bit more on Coruscant, but that's mostly this turns out one of the guys that you see quite a bit as one of the Imperial bureaucratic officers, what have you. Well, he's a mole for Luthen, and there's an interesting confrontation between the two of them. The mole wants out, but he can't. There's really no way. And then he's more concerned because he's become a father now. He's got a young family and all this stuff, and it's getting too serious for him, and he's terrified of being found out. And, so there is this back and forth confrontation between the two, but of course, Luthen captures the whole scene and he explains, because the guy says, well, what are you sacrificing? And ultimately he says, I've sacrificed everything. I will have no life. Even if I'm successful, there's no chance I'll live to see it. That sort of thing. And it's a powerful moment, but they're both just as trapped, and there's no way out. But one way out. And that's this, and the dirtiness and nastiness of war is certainly on display here. Whereas in regular Star Wars, it's the heroic, myth and stuff that you need for your heroes and whatnot. But a lot of this stuff goes on too. So ultimately, and of course, with the start with Luke and the Force and everything, and that's getting closer to an analogy for God and faith and stuff like that, for the ultimate truth, and it wins out, and that's the hand of providence there working through, and in this case, the Force, for Luke to come in and save them and give the boost for the rebellion successful, for its success, victory, what have you. Over the overall war. And so that's the case there, whereas you have this nastiness of the war that characters like Andor dealt with. But anyway, yes, it's slow. And if there was a way to finagle that down, and there's a lot of talk that this was probably another one that was meant to be a movie and got turned into a TV series, and that certainly was the case with Obi-Wan. Boba Fett, we knew that was supposed to be a movie. I don't know, maybe they gave most of that to Mandalorian. I don't know. However, they shift that around. The show they gave him was crap, and then poor Obi-Wan, that crap. But it's kind of, you can see that there's filler and stretching out in that one. Here, they just know how to do it, and it's just the crew working on it, and they can make rich, captivating scenes out of these performances, at least for me. Other people, and especially when it's, there's no argument with the point, this isn't Star Wars. It's, not like the other ones. But also, it's not bad like Disney Star Wars has been with, obviously Last Jedi and stuff like that. A lot of stuff flying around and blowing up in those movies, but it doesn't matter. So this is just, it's a very intelligent show. But it's obviously not for everybody, and the Star Wars fandom is just not in the mood, and that remains the case. And I don't know why I keep belaboring the point, but it's just a solid reality and fact for it going forward, even though this is a pretty good episode. It's but I don't know how else to couch it for anyone to try to give it a chance. The only thing I can think of was when I was on Doomcock's show, which is now on Wednesday night instead of Sundays. Pretty much agreement that probably for some that are a bit hesitant for this is to wait for them all to be out and then binge it. That might work better for people to get through the sort of slow pace of it. That might help out. But there's other shows, the slow pace definitely kills it, but it has other problems, like Rings of Power was never even really a show. It's just such crap. So that definitely drags it and makes it worse. But that's not the case with Andor.